name is Jillian Byrd.
My name is Abigail Fambrough.
And I'm David Percival.
And we are with Timber Creek High School in Keller, Texas, and this is our research on autism.
So, we found it apt to begin our presentation with a quote from the educational reformist Horace Mann. Horace Mann had his greatest rise to prominence in the mid-1850s within the progressive era of America. This is an era where people questioned what they had been taught and what society should be for those on the underclass. Now, Horace Mann had a radical idea. He believed that we should take taxpayers' dollars and use them to fund public education, giving everyone opportunities. Now, while this may seem commonplace then, this was just a radical idea that shifted the power of those of the elite and the wealthy to be educated to those of all creeds. Now, as we've moved through society to the year 2021, public education seems commonplace and such ingrained in us in our society and our popular culture. But there's one group that's often marginalized. That's those on the autism spectrum. Those on the autism spectrum aren't able to traditionally obtain what is our full heights because of the limitations of the education system. And that's where we tie in Horace Mann's philosophy to this, that a human being is not obtaining his full height until he is educated. Because those on the autism spectrum have a right and a privilege to be educated. And that's why we advocate for the accommodations for those on the autism spectrum. That specialized programs should be instituted that allow those on the autism spectrum to be fully educated and to obtain their full height.
So what is autism? Autism spectrum disorder, or autism, is defined by the CDC as a developmental disability that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges.
So some statistics we found while researching autism is 1 in 54 children fall under the autism spectrum. And going to some demographics is 1 in 144 females are identified with autism, while 1 in 34 boys are diagnosed with autism. So that being said, boys are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism.
Accommodations for autism. So as we mentioned a little bit before, accommodations are such a key part of helping those on the autism spectrum. And these are often obtained through 504s and individual education plans, or IEPs. I have one myself that allows me, it's for a peanut allergy, so it's kind of silly, and I mostly just use it for legal leverage, but I understand the experience. But what I don't understand is what it's like to be in the trenches of it and to have to use it. So that's when Washington University's Do It program comes in. They are a program out of Washington University, obviously, that advocate and educate about 504s and IEPs, and about autism as a whole, and how it affects the psychology and sociology of those who have it. Now, due to COVID, a lot of Washington University's efforts in their Do It program has been kind of diluted, and they haven't been able to obtain their fullest height. But that's where we come in. And that's where all of society comes in, because we have a responsibility to continue educating regardless of COVID, and we have a responsibility to make things better.
So some special education programs in schools are PE buddies, life skills, and yoga. There's many more, but those are the ones we decided to focus on. PE buddies is something that's in our own school and many others, and it's a accommodated physical education class for students with not only autism but many other disabilities as well, and they're usually accompanied by another general education student, just giving them that daily dose of exercise. And life skills, this is usually like cooking simple recipes or doing arts and crafts, like simple tasks that you would normally do on a different, in an ordinary day. Right now it's usually being taught via video conferencing like Zoom, and you're usually accompanied by a parent just to aid them out a little bit and just help them out. And it just helps them be more independent in society and gives them a more willingness. And then yoga, this came to our surprise. We didn't really expect it to be beneficial at all. There's various poses or just like the order of yoga that makes them more willing to learn, or just gives them a more excitement about it, I guess.
The Fambrough story. We interviewed mother and son, Sarah and Micah Fambrough, and this is the information we gathered. 20-year-old Micah Fambrough was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He is very intelligent and loves video games, but he also enjoyed playing the euphonium in the band at his former high school. When we asked him what his thoughts were about the current global pandemic, this was how he responded. We asked him what the challenges with online learning was for him, and he said, "Well, there's some stuff that is really tricky, like not having a teacher in front of me, and the GDP class, it's hard for me to get it all done. In case anyone is confused, GDP is a personal finance class that allows these kids to be, Micah is really good with math, but this allows kids like Micah who might have trouble learning math, it gives them leverage in learning finance without the help of a parent. And then we asked him, how do you think teachers can help support and reach students with autism that are learning within this new type of remote or always changing structure? And he said, well, they will always care for them to help them get it all right. Basically, the love and support that these teachers give these kids is what makes them want to learn and makes them feel special enough that they can do it. And then we interviewed Sarah Fambrough. Sarah is a teacher of seniors and freshmen, as well as the PAL sponsor at Abilene High School and Abilene ISD. When we asked her about her thoughts on the current global pandemic, this was how she responded. We asked, how do you feel students on the spectrum respond to negative stimuli in the classroom? She says the students do not respond well. I found that they respond best through redirecting and positive reinforcements, praise of good behaviors, rewards, etc. Then we asked, in your opinion, how does this new modernized system of learning affect these kids, and how do you think it will affect their learning experience moving forward? She said it is very hard for our students on the spectrum. Uncertainty is hard for people with autism, as is any change in their routine. Also, some of the therapies that the school district provides, like speech and occupational therapy, are interrupted, which can cause regression.
I believe that we can sum up our ideas and the ideas of autism accommodation in one word, and that word is hope. Between the stories of Washington University's Do It program, Micah and Sarah Fambrough, and even the challenges of COVID, and the way that we've triumphed over those challenges, we have to have a sense of hope of how to help those on the autism spectrum. We need hope to make the world better. We need hope to help people obtain their full heights. And that is the culmination of accommodations.